the first $1,000, how every millionaire actually started. Hey, welcome back. I want to tell you something honest before we even get into today's topic. There was a version of me years ago who looked at wealthy people online and felt small, genuinely small, like they were born into some different universe than me, like they had a head start I could never catch up to. Maybe you felt that too, that quiet little voice that says, people like that just start differently than people like me. I need you to hear this clearly, right at the top. That voice is lying to you. Because almost every single wealthy person you have ever admired, the ones with the big houses, the businesses, the portfolios, almost every one of them has a story that starts with an amount of money so small it would honestly surprise you. Not millions, not some inheritance, a few $100s, a first paycheck, a first $1,000 they were terrified to touch. That's it. That's usually where it begins. Tonight I want to talk about that first $1,000. Not because the number is magic. It's not. But because of what it represents and what it does to a person the moment they actually hold on to it, instead of letting it slip through their fingers like every dollar before it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone working a regular job, nothing special. Maybe waiting tables, maybe doing overnight shifts, maybe sitting behind a desk they don't even love. And instead of spending every single dollar the moment it lands in their account the way they always have before, they decide to do something different this time. They start setting a little aside. Not a lot, just enough to feel it. And slowly, painfully slowly at first, it starts to add up. $100, 300, 600. And then one day they check their account and there it is. $1,000 sitting there, untouched. I want you to understand what happens inside a person in that exact moment because it's not really about the money. It's about proof. For the first time, maybe ever, they have proof that they are capable of holding on to something. Proof that they are not just a person who earns and spends in an endless circle that never goes anywhere. They are for the first time a person who saves. And that identity shift, that quiet internal change, is worth more than the $1,000 itself. Because here's what almost nobody tells you about wealth. It was never really about the amount. It was always about the habit. The first $1,000 isn't life-changing because of what it can buy. It's life-changing because of what it proves you can do over and over on a bigger and bigger scale for the rest of your life. Let's talk about real patterns here, real human stories, the kind you don't always see in a highlight reel. Think about the person who started an online business with nothing but a laptop and $100 of inventory. They didn't start with a warehouse. They started with a shoebox of product and a whole lot of doubt, and they built from there. Think about the investor who bought their first handful of shares with money that used to go toward eating out. Not glamorous, not exciting, just a redirected habit dollar by dollar, month by month. Think about the person who saved just enough for a tiny down payment on a modest property, not a mansion, a modest starter property, and let that one decision snowball into 2 properties, then 3, over the next 15 years. None of these people started with millions. They started with discomfort, discipline, and a first $1,000 they refused to touch. Now I want to talk about why so many people never even get here. Why the first $1,000 feels impossible for so many of us, even though, statistically, it usually isn't about income at all. First reason is leaks. Small, invisible leaks in spending that feel harmless individually, but add up to real money every single month. A subscription nobody uses anymore. Food delivery fees that quietly double the cost of a meal. Impulse purchases made at 11 at night when we're tired and emotional, not thinking clearly. None of these decisions feel dangerous in the moment, but stacked together, month after month, they are often the entire reason that first $1,000 never appears. The second reason is emotional spending. And I want to be gentle here because this one is deeply human. Sometimes we spend not because we need something, but because we're stressed, or lonely, or trying to celebrate, or trying to numb something uncomfortable. Money becomes a coping tool instead of a building tool. And there's no shame in that. Honestly, most of us have done it. But recognizing it, actually seeing it happening in real time, is often the very first step toward stopping the cycle. The third reason, and this one is sneaky, is waiting for the right time. Waiting until the raise comes. Waiting until the bills calm down. Waiting until life feels a little less chaotic. But here's the hard truth. Life rarely feels calm enough on its own. The people who eventually save their first $1,000 are not the people who waited for perfect conditions. They're the people who started with whatever small amount they had in the middle of imperfect, messy, real life. So let's talk about how you actually do this. Not in theory, in practice. Real steps, real human steps for building that first $1,000 starting today. Step 1. Track your money for just 2 weeks. Not to judge yourself, just to see it clearly. Most people have no real idea where their money goes until they actually write it down. 2 weeks of honest tracking will show you exactly where those invisible leaks are hiding. Step 2. Pick one leak and close it, just one to start. Maybe it's a subscription. Maybe it's the daily coffee habit. Maybe it's the delivery fees. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You need one closed leak, redirected straight into savings. Step 3. Automate the amount, however small it is. The moment your paycheck arrives, have a portion move automatically into a separate account before you even see it in your main balance. This removes willpower from the equation completely. You are not relying on discipline in the moment. You're relying on a system you built once in a calm moment to protect your future self. Step 4. Make the goal visible. Write $1,000 somewhere you'll actually see it. A note on your mirror. A reminder on your phone. Something that keeps the goal alive in your mind instead of buried somewhere you forget about after day 3. Step 5. Celebrate the small milestones honestly. $100, then $300, then $500. Don't wait until the full 1,000 to feel proud. Each milestone is proof, real proof, that the identity shift is actually happening inside you. And step 6. Maybe the most important one. Once you hit that first 1,000, don't let it disappear back into daily spending. Protect it. Let it become the seed for the next stage. Maybe it becomes your emergency cushion. Maybe it becomes your first small investment. Maybe it becomes the beginning of a business idea you've been sitting on for years. Whatever it becomes, the goal is to let it grow into the next version of itself, instead of vanishing the way every dollar before it always did. I want to be honest with you about something before we close tonight. This isn't going to feel dramatic while it's happening. There's no fireworks moment when you save your 300th dollar. It's quiet. It's unglamorous. It might even feel a little boring some weeks. But that quiet, boring consistency, that's exactly what separates the people who eventually build real wealth from the people who spend their entire lives waiting for some big, dramatic financial breakthrough that never actually comes. Every person you've ever admired financially, every story that looks impressive from the outside, had a first $1,000 moment just like the one I'm asking you to create for yourself, starting today. Nobody skips that step. Nobody. Not the business owner, not the investor, not the person who eventually owns property. All of them, at some point, sat exactly where you're sitting right now, deciding whether to spend or whether to hold on just a little longer. So here's what I want you to walk away with tonight. You don't need permission to start. You don't need a bigger paycheck, a lucky break, or a perfect financial situation. You need one small, redirected habit, repeated consistently, until it becomes proof of who you're actually capable of becoming. Your first $1,000 isn't just a number sitting in an account somewhere. It's the very first brick in a foundation that, if you keep building on it, patiently, honestly, one decision at a time, can genuinely change the entire direction of your life. Start this week, start small, but start. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one.